What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So right now I'm gonna start a video on straight back braids, just some basic braids for those of you who would like to learn and for my learning. So right here, just showing you that I'm parting it, and I think it's better to part it thicker in the front and thinner in the back. This just helps the braids stay even, especially when you get towards the middle, as the braids naturally get thicker at the top. So you want it to be as even as possible. And right here, I'm going to show you that slowing it down. I am naturally overhanded. So what I do is I start overhead, and then when I get towards the end, I flip it over and boom, I'm underhanded. And this naturally only happens when I French braid. So yeah. Actually, no, not even when I French braid. Even when I do some of my singles, I start like overhanded and then I finish underhanded. It's just what works for me, so whatever works for you. And make sure that you're always following the groove of your client's hairline. When you braid, try to stay as close to that braid as possible. Just keep your hands together as close as possible so that the braid looks neat, and it also helps the braid stay up longer. And it's normally like this. Like when I get to the very end of that nape, I start to flip and braiding underhanded. So this is going to be slowed down and basically do the same thing. Making sure that the part is a little thicker and thinner, and you can always tell by the groove of your client's hair. It will become like a C. So just follow it once you get towards the back. And I'm also learning how to make my braids look identical. And some of the ways that I am doing is, once I start my first braid, I always use it as a reference on the second braid. So basically, one way you can part your second braid and hold it at the top just to see if the measurements look the same as the first braid. And like I said, once you get towards the middle, it becomes tender and thicker, and you have to be more patient about braiding. The braid will get tighter because you start braiding slower, so that it doesn't look loose or becomes looser than the other braids. You want to try to stay consistent, and when you get to the middle, there's that thing where it just naturally gets thicker, and that's one of the reasons you need the nape of those the hair in the back to be a little bit thinner so that it evens out, because the braid gets thicker towards the middle and it can go sideways if it's not thinner in the back. I literally remember my first time trying to do braids. I would braid and try to braid, and when I get done doing my straight backs, it would all be like going to the left, and I wouldn't have room towards the end, like to the other side of the hair, to make a braid go straight back, because I guess that's why, because I didn't know I needed that technique to make the nape a little bit thinner than the top, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain that, but as you braid, if you don't know by now, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, my nail was messing with me, y'all. It had to go. I didn't have time to go get no clippers, so yeah. I'm just glad I learned. No one really uh taught me that. I had to learn that on my own, but I did see a video a few years ago. A few years ago, like I'm not naturally a French braider, so I don't have that French braider skills. Otherwise, I would have known that. I normally do singles or individual braids, singlies, which I think they call them passion braids now. But yeah, I used to do a lot of individual braids, so I'm still learning basic techniques of French braiding. So yeah, especially right here, like this is in a fast mode, but you can tell that I kind of rushed the braid because it looks a little looser, although it is a little thicker. Um, yeah, and you can see if you look at my hands, I'm kind of not as close as I was with the smaller braids. So just remember to keep that in mind. You would have to braid a little tighter. I'm not naturally a tight braider, but it is necessary to braid tight. The client will have a little headache, but the braids will look nice and they will stay up for a long time. My sister used to braid my hair all the time, and I used to walk around with a stiff neck, but I love the braids. Like, I was thankful I had someone to braid my hair. My mom didn't have to spend a lot of money, so that's basically how I learned how to braid as well. I think I said that before. And don't mind that braid, that's my zigzag. I'm trying to work on designing braids and um, designing French braids and the basic of French braiding. So yeah. This little mannequin has a whole bunch going in her head. She got some singles, some zigzags. And there it is. And I hope some of you found this helpful as well as me, just growing and using YouTube as my butterfly effect. So yeah, hopefully I can look back on this and be like, yeah, what?